What is up, homies? My name is Felix, and today I am here bringing you yet another LMMS video. That's right, 3 in a row. Pretty dope, pretty epic. So today this video is kind of going to be a little bit different. It's going to be kind of part tutorial and then part me just kind of making a beat. But yeah, so I figured I would try something a little bit different today and see if you guys like it. So let me know if you do in the comments below. Also, I would like to say there are 2 new songs out now produced by me, both of them by different artists. Here's the first one.
You don't even know me like that. You can't even match you and Stony like that, no. Whoa, shawty owe me like that.
And here's the second one.
I could probably teach a couple lessons. Smith and Wesson reverend, when you send it, it's gon' bless you. Every group I'm in, treat me like they lethal weapon. Need a lethal weapon. G22, that's how I'm stepping. Yeah, said you popping out.
So if you happen to fancy either of those, I would go down into the description and check out the links for those songs below, along with the songs I've produced, my Instagram, SoundCloud, all that stuff. You know the drill. And now let's get into the video. So I get a lot of people saying that they don't have good VSTs, they don't know where to find good like VST plugins for sounds and stuff like that. And I am here today to show you guys that you don't need a whole bunch of fancy VSTs to make good beats. All you need is some guitar. You can buy a $20 guitar off of Craigslist, and you don't even have to know how to play guitar. All you gotta do is record one note, and that's all I did. And I'm gonna be making a beat out of that one note today. So all I did was I went into Audacity, the program that I used 2 videos ago for how to sample in LMMS. Go check it out if you would like. Basically, I recorded one note, a C note, and we're going to make a melody out of that. So let's get started. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this down to like about 186. And then for this one, I'm actually going to start on the melody first. Sometimes you can start with melody, sometimes you can start with the drums. It doesn't really matter. Before we get into making the melody, the one thing that's very important to keep in mind is that LMMS makes the root of everything that you play at an A, but since I know that this is a C, I'm going to click it to C so that every note we play in the piano roll will actually be the correct note. And that's a very important thing to do. It's also very important to do that with your 808s as well. So just make sure that you do that, and now we can get into making the melody. So I am going to skip through the part where I make the melody because it's kind of a long, boring process, but I made a video on how to make melodies a few videos back. I'll put a link in the description if you guys want to check that out. That's a very, very helpful video, and you guys will probably learn a lot from that. But in the meantime, I'm going to make this melody. Okay, so I just finished the first little section of this melody. It looks kind of complicated, but it's not really. When you're doing something like this, when you're sampling just one sound in LMMS, what you want to do is you want to drag these notes out for as long as they possibly can, because otherwise there's going to be a clicking noise. So that's another thing that you should keep in mind when you're recording the actual guitar sound. You should probably keep the note really short, and you can do this with anything, whether it be a guitar, whether it be a flute, a saxophone, your voice, literally anything. As long as you know the note that you're playing and you tune it to that note in LMMS, you'll be fine. But yeah, either way, just make sure that you stretch these out for as long as possible. But what I did here was I basically made all of this in the key of A minor. This is an A minor chord. This right here is an F major chord, and this right here is a C major chord. And then again, A minor, F major, and then this is a G major chord. So the last chord over here changes, and then I just copied all the bass notes down here, and then I have all this little top melody up here, and it sounds like this. And it sounds a little bit low right now, but don't worry because we're going to pitch it up. But the last thing that I want to do before we pitch it up is I'm going to do Control A and then hold down Shift and drag, and I'm going to make a variation on this part of the melody over here. Okay, so I just added a little bit of variation over here, so now this end of the melody will sound a little bit different and it won't get too repetitive, and it sounds like this. So yeah, basically we just made a whole guitar melody without ever having to learn how to play guitar or anything like that. We just took one note, sampled it, and bada bing, bada boom, we got ourselves a melody. Now what we're going to do is we're going to hit Shift, and we're going to pitch this up a little bit, and see if we can get it to a place we like. So I think right there is about good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to move on to these next little things that I have here. These are both found inside of Zinad sub effects, so no fancy plugins or anything. Just go into, I think, strings, and then synth piano is where you can find both of these. And then the synth piano, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this exactly. And hopefully the synth piano sounds good, but I might have to change it. So I think that sounds good. Now what we're going to do is we're going to copy it again, and you can reset the names on these. And now with this one, I'm going to see where all of the chords are, as you can see here, and we're going to get rid of everything that's not chords, because this is just a string, and because these are the same, we can get rid of these down here, and then we can just do Control A and then click Shift and drag over. So these strings will now sound like this. That's just to add like some ambient noise in the back. So now for the last kind of melodic instrument, we have the kick. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go like this, do Control C, exit here, go back in here, and then Control V, and then pitch this up. Oh, actually, one thing that you cannot forget to do is go into the 808 and go like this, because I know this 808 is tuned to C, so make sure you tune your 808s. Don't forget to do that. Since this 808 down here is going to be kind of low, and especially this one, we're going to pitch it up here. And then these two, we'll see how it sounds if we pitch them up, but if it sounds bad, I won't do it. I think that sounds okay. I'm going to try to make a better pattern out of this real quick, and then we'll see how it sounds with some simple drums. And don't worry, we're going to do the trick to fix that clicking in a minute, but for right now, we're just going to focus on the pattern. Okay, so now that we have the 808 pattern, it's going to sound like this with the rest of the melody. But we have to fix that clicking, so what you do to fix the clicking, go in here, amount all the way up, attack just barely up. And now I think it should sound normal. Sure does. And now we can kind of turn some of these down. And now what we can do is we can go in here and fix up some of these drums, and this we can leave the same because this is going to be the same length as these drums here. And then the hi-hats are going to be every single one. So what I'm actually going to do is go in here and then go Control A, drag it over, Control, drag it over, and then get rid of these ones. And that's kind of a quick way to do that. And then I'm gonna go here, and what I'm doing is Shift and Control at the same time, and then selecting all of these, and then we're going to bring the volume down, and then we're going to delete this one, and then drag this one over again. And now these hi-hats will have some bounce to them, as you can kind of hear. And now we're going to put in this open hi-hat. Okay, so I finished out this drum pattern here pretty much. It's going to sound like this. And then it stops because the melody is longer, but it's not going to matter because we're going to separate all these anyways. Okay, so the last thing that I'm going to do for the drums is I'm going to pull in a kick, but this kick isn't only going to play part of the time, but we're just going to go in here and copy the same pattern, except for a little bit different. I'm going to add a couple more spots where the kick hits that the 808 doesn't, just to give it some more bounce. So with the kick, the whole melody and drum pattern is going to sound like this. now what we're going to do actually is we're going to go over to the master track. This is a little bit different, a little more advanced for you guys, but I'm going to add in a hard limiter, so we can go boom. And now what we're going to do is we're going to change this decibel limit to like -1 or something. And now as you can see here, everything is going to be clipped before it hits red. So that means that there's going to be a little bit of crispy kind of muddiness. But what we're going to do is we're going to play it, and we're going to adjust the volumes until it doesn't sound muddy anymore. And then we're going to do one last thing that's kind of complicated as well. We're going to go in here, and we're going to make 2 of these, and then go into your 808, go to effects 1, and then your kick into effects 2. So because your 808 is in here, we can rename this to 808, and we can rename this one to kick. Okay, so what I'm about to do is I'm going to sidechain the kick and the 808 so that the 808's volume drops when the kick does, so it doesn't sound as muddy. So in order to do that, what you do is you select the kick track, you go to peak, and then hit peak controller. And now you have the peak controller on here, and keep this open up here. And now what you're going to do is you're going to click on the volume of the 808, and then do connect to controller, and then user controller 1, and then okay. And now you're going to take this little peak controller interface, and you're going to bring this down to about like there, and then this you're going to bring up, and then you can bring these up a little bit. And now your kick and your 808 together will sound like this. As you can see, the volume is dropping down. So as you can hear, it's not completely perfect. They're still kind of clashing with each other. But either way, you kind of just want to play around with this until you get the kick and the 808 to sound not muddy together. Okay, so now that we've got the kick and the 808 mixed so that they don't sound too bad, what we're going to do is we're going to separate out all of these tracks into their own beat and bassline editor so that we can put them into the song editor. Okay, so now that we have separated all these into their own beat and bassline editors, and I also renamed all of them so it's easier for us to tell what they are. One thing that you can do actually, if you want to play around with making it louder, because I was noticing with the hard limiter, it's not as loud as it could be. You could go in here and go to this amplifier and just turn the volume up a little bit, and make sure this is above the hard limiter. It's gonna sound like this now. As opposed to sounding not like that, like this. Either way you want to do it is perfectly fine. This way kind of adds a little bit more kind of muddy soundingness. But it does make it louder, so whichever way you want to do is fine. But I'm just going to delete the amplifier for this beat. But the way to really get rid of that muddy soundingness is to take all of these instruments and EQ out the low end. But for this video, we're not going to do that. That's going to take a little bit too much time that we do not have today. So what I'm just going to do is I'm going to lay out the beat, and then we'll be done. So I just laid out the beat, so that means it's pretty much going to do it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. This is a pretty fun beat to make. It just goes to show you that you do not need a bunch of fancy expensive plugins to make some fire beats. All you really need is whatever instrument you might have lying around and a little bit of creativity. So yeah, again, I hope you guys enjoyed, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Make sure you check out my playlist of songs I've produced, the new songs I was talking about also down there, my Instagram, SoundCloud, all that stuff down below, and I will see you guys next time.
what's on your mind? Tell me what you thinking. Why you keeping secrets? Argue and fight, but I'm always the reason. Sleepless nights.